people, and welcome to the show. Today is Tuesday night, and we have lots of great stuff to talk about. But before we get started, as per usual, I'm going to ask you to do me the great service and favor of telling your friends and family about the show, that you enjoy it, that you get some satisfaction and information out of it. Please tell them to join the Patreon community. That is how we get this thing going and keep it going. So I appreciate your support, and tell your friends, your family, your posse, your crew, your book club, your church community, your fraternity, your sorority, or anybody that will pay attention to what you say. Tell them to watch the show because that's how we grow. So let's talk this week about the headlines. Today, former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg, was confirmed as the first openly gay cabinet member in the history of the United States. Now, he may not be the first gay member, but he was the first member who was confirmed who was openly gay. And it was a delight to me to have Pete in the presidential primary because, first of all, he was really, really talented. He went from a, basically no name to a household name on the strength of a very serious campaign, but really just his talent. He was noticeable. He was remarkable. He was incredibly, incredibly smart. He had an incredibly interesting backstory. And while we watched him grow and get better on the trail, and as good as he was as a candidate, he was even better as a surrogate for Joe Biden once Biden got the nomination. Pete Buttigieg acquitted himself amazingly as a talking head and as a spokesperson for Joe Biden. And so I'm delighted that he was given the nod to be Secretary of Transportation, and he was confirmed today. And of course, there were a whole bunch of Republicans that voted against him for no other reason that they're bigoted and they're stupid, because they certainly can't argue that he wasn't qualified. Pete is overly qualified, quite frankly, for Transportation Secretary. I think he was qualified to be President of the United States. So yeah, that's not a qualification problem. And those same people, confirmed folks like Betsy DeVos and confirmed folks like Wilbur Ross and confirmed folks like Louis DeJoy and all this other crap. I mean, these people, no, I guess DeJoy was appointed, but nevertheless, they appointed so many and confirmed so many utterly incompetent. They basically put a fox in every hen house in Washington, D.C. They confirmed people whose mission and purpose was to destroy the institutions and cabinets that they were given control over. And so, it's just the cynicism of today's politics. But there was bipartisan support for Pete. And the reason I wanted to talk about this today was because of what a delight it has been to watch Joe not only nominate, but confirm some of the most talented people from around the country. Today, it was Pete, and it was also, I think his last name is Mayorkas, who's now our Department of Homeland Security cabinet chair. And I think his name is Peter, maybe also Mayorkas. But anyway, he has a Greek last name, but he's actually of Cuban descent. And for us Floridians who have so many Cuban friends, family, neighbors, and others, it was a delight to see a Cuban American put in the cabinet. And again, I remind you that is the American story. The immigrant story is the American story. It is so much of what makes America unique. And so I look at this cabinet, I look at this team of leaders, I look at people like Jen Psaki, I look at people like Ron Klain, I look at people like Cedric Richmond. I look at people, these are the people that are working in the White House. And then I look at the cabinet, people like Deb Haaland, Pete Buttigieg, and Mayorkas, and so many others. And I say to myself, I am proud of this team. This team represents our country. This team is diverse in race, in age, in gender, in background, in experience. They're religiously diverse. They're economically diverse. Some came from wealth, some really, really did not. But they're all talented and they're all extraordinary. And it puts to shame this trope in the right that all people of color who are given opportunities like this are being given a handout because they couldn't possibly be talented enough to compete and earn and merit these positions. Well, wrong. If you compare what Joe Biden's team is bringing to the table to what Donald Trump's team brought to the table, it's no comparison at all, right? So just being white does not make you right. And Joe Biden's team proves it. It is truly a team of extraordinary Americans from every walk of life. And if you think that representation doesn't matter, then you just don't get it at all. I will tell you that as a child, when I was a child, right? I'm 52. As a child, it was a big deal to have a black doll. I remember this because I didn't really like dolls as a child at all. I was a tomboy, always was, and I just didn't have girly tendencies. My favorite toy was a chemistry set. I kid you not. I remember this so clearly. My mother and I were living in Lexington, Kentucky when my mom was in grad school. And I just turned about, I think, maybe 10 or 11, somewhere in there. And my mom asked me what I wanted for my birthday. And I saw in a Spiegel catalog, I know y'all don't remember Spiegel, but Spiegel was a big deal back in the day. And I saw in the Spiegel catalog this giant chemistry set. And this chemistry set had all the bottles and all the chemicals and all the beakers, and it was huge. It was the hugest chemistry set I'd ever seen. And I really, really wanted it. But I was not old enough to actually do the experiments. It was like, I think the chemistry set was 13 plus, and I think I was either turning 10 or 11. And so, like, clearly, I think it was turning 10, right? 9 or 10, and I was clearly too young. But I wanted it, and my mom gave me the chemistry set just to give me something to aspire to, and it was what I wanted. I mean, it was what made me happy. And I remember this chemistry set so vividly because all I could do was open it up and look at this stuff in it. Because I wasn't allowed to open it. There was like a little key to open the chemicals and stuff like that, and I didn't have it. My mom kept it. It was like a metal, 4-prong thing that you stuck in to open the bottles, and I didn't have it, so I couldn't open the bottles, but I could just take them out. So every day I would come home to my chemistry set, and I would take the bottles out, and I would rearrange them, and I would be pretending to be doing experiments, and then I'd put them back in the chemistry set, and I'd close it back up. And that was my play. I mean, that's what I did. But the reason I tell you this is because at that time, I didn't know there were any black women chemists. There were no black women engineers in my life or on TV or like anywhere, right? I wanted to do that, but I had no role model in that. I saw no black women doctors. I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't see any black women doctors. But I know that this generation that's coming up now, they see black women engineers, and they see black women astronauts, and they see black women vice presidents. They see gay cabinet members. They see immigrant cabinet members. They see Native American members of the cabinet and of the House and of the Senate, and that means everything. And when you are bitter when you see people in those positions and you resent them for being there, you're the one who makes the case of why their presence makes a difference. Why do Republicans hate it so much when they see people of color in positions of power? Because they know that it plants a seed in the minds of young people that people of color belong in those positions of power. That's why they hate it so much. That's why they're so bitter about it. That's why, I don't know how many, 47 Republicans voted against Pete Buttigieg out of nothing but spite and bigotry. Spite and bigotry. Now, if you can conjure up some other component of the current GOP besides spite and bigotry, please let me know. Because I can't find one. I mean, they're certainly not about fiscal responsibility. No. They're not about, family values. The things that we've learned under the Trump administration is that there's literally absolutely nothing they genuinely believe in except for white power. I can't point to anything. But it may have made them very salty to see two people sworn in as cabinet members today who represent the American experience. But it made me delighted, and I think it delighted a whole lot of people around this country. Joe Biden's doing a great job in putting people in place that represent our country and that are going to serve it with dignity, honor, respect, talent, and experience. And I could not be more proud of his choices and more proud of Pete Buttigieg and Mr. Mayorkas, who got confirmed today. I salute you both, and I wish you nothing but the best in your endeavors. So that's it for this section. We're going to move on to the next topic.
If you like what you just heard, you can find out so much more and hear so much more on my Patreon channel, patreon.com/Pam Keith FL. That's where you hear the rest of this discussion, and there's lots more to share.